and welcome back. I am Taryn, Nicole, Tarver, Prophetess, TNT, and you are watching Supernatural Lifeline Revelations. I'm here today with God's daughters. We're really excited about what we're doing today because we are building communities, we are helping families all across the world, and most importantly, we're helping women. We are none other than Bishop A.Smith, and he's always such an inspiration to me. He brought the concept to me a while ago about God's daughters. What does it mean to have a spiritual father? What does it mean to be in purpose? What is it like to know God as your father? If you don't have a natural person that you can see that actually has been good to you, how do you turn that into your business and your purpose and multiplication with your families and bringing healing and wholeness so that people can do what God called them to do? So we're here with God's daughters, and today we have a wonderful guest. I'm here with Bishop Ed, and we are going to be talking to Dr. Arlene Williams. Doctor, we welcome you. Thank you for being here.
Welcome.
It's a wonderful ministry.
Thank you. So we have been doing these God-Daughter segments, and we've been helping a lot of people, just telling your story, how you got started, what were your challenges and different things, because a lot of times people see you right now, but they don't know what that looked like 20, 25 years ago.
Absolutely.
And when you're raising kids and those bells and whistles and life is turning and all those things, and how do you still stay focused as a woman of God? So I would just love to know, first and foremost, I was reading your bio and the fact that you're a director of corporate and foundational relations at the USC Marshall School of Business and USC School of Accounting. And how do you think that this fit into your purpose as far as what God called you to do, being a woman of God? How do you feel like this actually merged you into what you are doing now and what your overall purpose is?
Well, I am really grounded in the fact that a lot of my purpose has to do with business.
Mm-hmm.
And being based at a top university in a business school and accounting school, it really helps me to dig deep in terms of my educational training, the fact that I also have a business, and just pulling together my life experiences to create relationships that really help me to excel in that position.
That's wonderful. Did you know this always? When do you think you began to discover what you were going to do and what God wanted you to do?
I don't know. For most of my life, I've always asked the Lord to kind of show me the
Mm-hmm.
way. And there have been many, many times along the way that I did not know what was next. But what that says to me is if you don't know what's next, put your focus on what you're doing right now,
Mm-hmm.
and then put one foot in front of the next, and then the next thing you know, your path or your journey would really surprise you, what you've got, the ground that you've covered. So I think that's one of the philosophies that I like to follow.
I remember a gentleman saying one time, he said, "How do you eat an elephant?" And
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Every little bite, every little step is putting you closer to your goal. Bishop Ed, being that you said, it's great, let's invite some amazing businesswomen who work with Fortune 500 companies. He brought your name up, being one of the spiritual daughters he's helped to mentor.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this relationship, how you were able to help evolve and you guys came together to do some of the things you've been able to do.
Well, it's interesting. When we first met and really got together was with the JOSEPH Business School. And you became one of the instructors and then leading the JOSEPH Business School. And I began to really get a chance to see you and know you very, very well and how you're very helpful, but you understood business. And here you say right now that much of your life you were involved in business was the center of what you're called to do. Can you describe that a little further about how God revealed that to you? You said one step at a time, but do you recall a certain day or event where that happened?
I think back, and I'm a graduate of Stanford University, and at the time that I'm looking at, okay, I'm about to graduate, I didn't really have a clear path, just like you asked me about the path. I didn't.
Right.
That's okay.
But I had met some people along the way, and one of the persons that I met was someone who was a graduate student, and he said, well, I was majoring in communication with a specialization in journalism. And so he said, well, I want to start some magazines. So will you come and start some magazines? So that was my first foray into business. And so I accepted the challenge, but I had to really, educate myself. So I was living in Northern California, moved home to Los Angeles, And someone else approached me wanting to help. Now, I've not gone to business school. I'm just, really good at researching and putting things together. So I started doing research in the library at USC. And while I was doing my research, my marketing research, I heard some students come in, and they were sitting around near me, and they were discussing their class project. And I'm like, I need to go to business school to really do this. And so I applied, and I was accepted. But the Lord started opening doors for me at that time. I got a full ride to go to business school at USC at that time. And then I did an internship with Toyota Motor Sales.
Wow.
At the end of that time period. So doors just started opening. As I said, put one foot in front of the next, and then he starts to reveal the path.
So what would you say to a woman who is not clear, and help them, encourage them to take some steps to follow what's in their heart? It may not be in business, it may be in business, but whatever that is, what can you reflect on maybe some of the apprehensions you may have had moving forward, and in particular, how did your faith play in that?
So I would say, when you don't know something, what do? You ask.
Yes.
And in that relationship with the Lord, just continue to ask. Ask him to be clear, because we all don't, our relationships with the Lord are different. Yeah. And he talks to you one way, but he talks to me another way, and that would be the same for someone else.
Right.
But then there are passions that you have. Those passions may become clearer. Then just, again, start. And then what does the scripture say? If you be otherwise minded, he will reveal that to you.
Yeah.
So then make those adjustments along the way, but really understand the fact that whatever you're doing, that all things work together for good for those who are called according to his purpose. And so the small things will become important to you, or they will find a place somewhere in that journey. In answer to the other part of your question about challenges, there's always challenges. Big ones, little ones. But I think one of the biggest challenges often is the challenge inside yourself, the insecurities that you may have to start something new, insecurities to move into another area that you've not known before. But if you understand the fact that the Lord is always with you, that he can open doors for you, he can give you the right temperament for the situation, or the right look, or whatever it is that you need. The way I look at it is, I can take it as far as I can go, and I do that. But where I leave off, he takes it the rest of the way, and that always works well for me.
That's wonderful. Sounds like you really have developed some confidence in this, how God speaks to you, and following that lead. That's great.
Is there ever a time where you could think when it was like the road didn't seem so clear and things were really difficult? Is there a time, can you tell us a time when you actually had to overcome something and get back on track?
Yeah, I was working for, after I finished business school, I went to work for a management consulting firm, and I was there for 10, 11 years. And the contract that they had with the federal government, the Minority Business Development Agency, ended. And so I was kind of in a no man's land, but because I had built a relationship with the head of the company, and we had another smaller contract, he moved me to that contract. But it was a period in there where I didn't have a clear path. I was, doing some small consulting work on the side.
Right.
And then eventually I was working, that contract was with the city of Compton, and they asked me to come on full time, so.
Look at God.
Isn't it kind of interesting how, like, someone will think that this is so terrible, I got laid off, and if they see themselves 6 months down the road, they're like starting their own business, or they're right at the right place at the right time, and then they have a divine connection, and they're like, this is the best thing that ever happened to me.
That's right.
But that's just a part of like trusting the Lord during those times.
Absolutely.
When you're not quite sure and you don't know. But I think during those times it's important to remember that, like, wait a minute, don't panic. Like the first time, every time there's something, is like a panic moment in the Bible that you hear, fear not.
Yes.
An angel comes, he's like, fear not. Jesus comes in the room, fear not. Because everything is fear not. Because I really think that as soon as you can get fear out the way, and that panic of just not knowing, you can put your eyes on the Lord and you can trust him that he's going to work this out for my good. Like, wait a minute, does God have a good thing for me? Yes. Does God have a good plan for me? Yes. Is this help me if I go under? Absolutely not. It doesn't help God's cause if I go under. So the Lord must be with me through this, and he's going to be with me through this rain and through the storms, through everything, and to getting to the other side. How do you think family played a role in your business development and ministry with church and raising children? You have 3 adult children now and 4 grandchildren, and I'm sure it's a different season with grandchildren than it even is with your children. And so what were those seasonal changes like, and how did you adjust balancing family, church, business, ministry, your prayer life, your time with God? How did you balance those things?
Well, that sounds like a lot. Just to hear you articulate it.
But you're on this side right now. You're like you're on smooth sailing side.
I know, but I think about it. I'm like, whoa, she's right. That was a lot. That was a lot. But again, it's just whatever's in front of you, you do whatever's in front of you to your whole, with all your being. So if if I have little kids, when we were going to have the third one, I told my husband, I can't do this without help. So you're going to have to bring in someone. So we brought in someone for a time. Then we had the big issue with the business. I had to let that person go. You just make adjustments along the way.
Yes.
And it seems like it's more daunting sometimes when you look back on what you've actually done. But when you're in the moment, you figure it out. And the Lord shows you what to do, and you do it. One of the things that helped us is I was working full-time in the different positions, but my husband had the business. So where I have to work until 5 or 6, he could get off at whenever he wanted to, but he could get off at 3 and go take the boys to baseball practice and that kind of thing. So we balanced it together. And I think even that was divinely ordered. The Lord knows, what's going to happen, and he knows, well, he needs a lot more freedom than I do, and I need to focus on this part. So
now, when did you get married during this time of your life? When did you actually tie the knot? When did the Lord send the
after business school, I was about 27 when we got married.
Yeah.
And so graduate from college, go to business school, in a relationship for a while with him, and then we eventually got married when we were 27. So I think of it as we were kind of older parents at that time. We had our first son at 30, but we just managed it together with our different strengths.
And the other day I was in Oakland, and I had a meeting with Reverend Manns, and some young girls were managing, we're doing a business class with them, right? So we're not managing them, but we're doing a business class. We're coaching them through some things and helping them, just mentorship. And I didn't know they're bringing their kids, right? So we're at a hotel, and 11 children walk in, and they're all under the age of 9. With two young ladies, 11 children.
Wow.
One of them had 6, the other one had, the others, and I was just like, okay, it's like, there's this long couch, so I was like, everybody sit down, it's inevitable somebody's going to start fighting or pulling and whatever, but we were talking with the young women about their businesses and developing and giving them a target to look at. And many of those targets are like Fortune 500 companies. They didn't start big, they started small. So women like yourself, we use examples, and we talk about what Bishop Ed talks about, just healing those wounds first so they can be whole enough to even step out and see themselves in these roles. And so we're talking to the young ladies, and they have, both of them were building businesses. One a daycare and the other one, and we could actually see where the puzzle was. When you start a puzzle, you can't really see. You got to keep looking at the picture to kind of like, okay, if you don't have a picture, you start getting all the blues together, the reds together. You get all the edges, so at least you get the edge frame right. And so, like, we could see what they couldn't see, and the pieces were actually there, and they just didn't know the answers are right in front of them. And we're just giving them the pieces, and they're just going and plugging all the pieces to the puzzle together, and they're starting to see the formation. And that's where women like you come in, and Bishop Ed comes in, but first we have had to heal a lot of past wounds, help them where you said, you were talking about being able to have the trust and faith in God, give them trust and faith in God. know that even if they make a mistake, we're here for them. That we could. There's no mistakes. There's really just lessons.
Yes.
And so we're using stories like your story, and we're using people like yourself that like these women have done it all along. Men have done it. We're able to. But you should see the outcome of the women that are just so excited to hear your guys' stories right now. They're watching and they want to hear the stories. You know.
I would love to.
Yes, this is what you do. Because I was looking and I was reading your bio, and it talked about you that you love leading collaborative teams and using practical practices and applying a systems approach to managing complex projects and tasks. And I'm thinking like, this is like everybody I'm dealing with right now. Like, I need her in my life. What are some of the best stories that you've seen in managing these complex tasks and bringing people in and collaborating them? What are the success stories that you've seen that you've been able to impact other women's lives from your life and teaching, helping, and training them from giving them your impartation?
So I can think of some examples, but I wouldn't say that they were particularly focused on women.
Okay.
Just kind of mostly people.
There's men in the room. So,
okay, so
there's married men in the room.
Right,
there's lots of great things here.
So I'm working on a project right now.
Okay.
And that will, manifest tomorrow. But so we have a fellow student from our school, from Stanford. His name is Charles Ogletree. Mm-hmm. And he has been such a national force in many, many things. He was the attorney for Anita Hill. He was a big force. He was the president of the student body at Stanford. So we started a scholarship in his name to honor him. Mm-hmm. He's battling, some health issues right now.
Yeah.
And so we started the scholarship at the university, or we named it in his honor. Wow. And then I started thinking, well, we really need to really honor him.
Wow.
We want to raise money for the scholarship.
Yeah.
But what becomes before that? We need to honor him right now, so that he can, benefit and understand just how much we love him.
That's good.
So I'm driving along in different things, and the Lord is just popping all these things into my mind. I form a committee. I select all the people in the committee that I want to work, and I say, well, we need to do this, we need to do that. Long story short, tomorrow, I'm believing we already have over 1,000 people have registered for this event.
Wow.
We have the President of the United States had sent a recorded message. We have Cory Booker.
Wow.
We have Valerie Jarrett. We have Mae Jemison. We have several trustees or former trustees of the university speaking. We have the former president of Stanford and many, many people from Harvard, because he also taught at Harvard. But it's sort of like the Lord giving you a vision that's way bigger than what you are. And then you just kind of, again, you put one foot in front of the next, and you listen along the way, and he tells you what to do. And I'm just really excited about what has happened. The university is setting it up for us and doing all the technical aspects of it. But
so like the student body is helping it, or is it just the corporate?
The people in the development office and the Alumni Association.
Alumni Association.
But I use that example in terms of the collaboration, and also in terms of the Lord giving you a vision and showing you what to do. It's sort of like He will drop things in your spirit along the way, and when you look up and you're like, there's no way I could have done this myself.
No.
And the people He connects you with or tells you to bring to the table with you, they then add so much more to that vision, or it starts to unfold in such a marvelous way. So,
when the Lord begins to give you, first of all, when you first think of those things, I found that it's really God when I can see the whole, not that I see every single step, but I can see the steps pretty clearly. It's like, oh, we can do this, and we can do that, and we can do this, and we can do that.
I agree with you. I know exactly what you're talking about. No, it's just sort of like all of a sudden.
Yes.
All of a sudden, you're an expert.
And you can tell, okay. And
you feel it's a feeling. You feel it, and you know it.
Come on.
Nobody has told you, but you know it, and then you just move with purpose. you move with intention,
Yes.
and people follow you.
They do. And you start writing it down
The
because
first
all
time
of a
you're doing it, huh?
it starts happening so fast. Like, before you know it, you're like, you need a pen. You're like, where's the pen? Or you got your phone and you start typing it in or something, because it starts unfolding very quickly. And then it's not that it's everything, and you, in between you'll get the rest, but you've got you've already
got the big
seen
vision.
the vision.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you can see it, and as you're talking it, it's coming alive. And then we're going to call it this. And,
That's
and you know exactly what I'm saying. It's like you're having a prophetic moment, and you're walking it out, and it's just like this picture starts playing, and you're just talking the picture out. And it's like, before you know it, next thing you know, you're doing the steps to do it. And then next thing you know, it's here, and you have like done this thing. You sit back that night, you go to sleep, and you're just like,
oh my
wow.
God. I mean, I told him, I said, I want 1,000 people on this. I want to raise $1 million on the scholarship.
Come on.
I mean, I'm just like speaking.
Come on, speaking it.
I want the president of Stanford University to be on this. And then, you know, some people will say, well, Valerie, you know, works, you know, for the president. Why don't you ask the president? And I'm kind of like, ugh. When I ask her, she's like, no problem.
But you see, what I found is that you're the conduit. You're like the Joseph, really, seriously. Dr. Williams, I'm telling you, you're like Joseph. Everything your hands touch is prospering. God put you there.
Oh my God, that's deep.
And when you're there, it all seems to flourish. Somebody else can be there, and it won't flourish for them, because God has you there. You're now the conduit God is using, and he's bringing it together, because God is all in the collaboration.
Absolutely.
He brings all types of people together.
Absolutely.
So now all of a sudden somebody else comes with, you're having what's called divine connections.
Yes.
So your divine connections, oh, so-and-so knows that person.
Yes.
And you're like, well, all they can, now I always say, most people say, all they can do is say no. I say, all they can do is say yes.
Or they're going to say yes. I just know it.
Exactly.
Right. And so they go and ask, and then next thing you know, now you have it.
Yeah.
And you look at, so it's unfolding, but the angels are working with you. God's working with you. He's collaborating it. But one thing I really heard you say is like your why. What was your purpose of it? I want to raise $1 million for scholarships. I want to. And God's like, sure, that's what I want to do too.
And the honor piece.
The honor.
See, that was huge.
Yeah.
Because God is about honor. And here you want to honor someone in a very special way.
Yes. And the love that is outpouring is phenomenal.
At the end of the day, you don't
amazing.
have any, if you look at that project you just explained, you don't have any personal gain in this. It's about you giving. And God is all about giving, and you're all about helping somebody else, and you're honoring, and you're reverencing. And this is a ticket for big things. They really understand the steps to why God can use a person like you. And they say, well, how is she always prospering? Because your heart is always geared towards blessing and helping other people. In the process, you're accomplishing your goal.
That was well spent. That was well said.
I just saw
really
it when you were
well
talking.
said.
I could see the whole thing, and I was like, wow, this is amazing.
But it's my biggest example of really walking in purpose. Yes. And yes, it's collaborative, because there's like a lot of different people. There are like 10 people on the committee, but they know like a bunch of people, and they are connecting dots as well. But when that anointing is on you, or you feel it,
yes,
it's like nothing anybody else says
now look
can
at all your
deter
new
you.
divine connections, though. Now,
Yeah.
look at the people you know who knows who. Now,
Yeah.
you know more people than you knew before. So when you do want to do this again, it goes from 1,000 people to 3,000 people.
Right.
You know, and it just expands. And the next thing you know, I remember like 20. No, it was not 20 years ago. It's supposed to be 17 years ago. I was like, I'm going to do this women in a noble character thing, not knowing, I'm thinking I'm going to do it one time.
Right.
God gave me a dream in the middle of the night, and I woke up and said yes, finally, and it came to fruition, not knowing that I would have a corporation, that it would turn into a nonprofit. Like, all these years later, it's still here. But what's amazing about that is that I'm like, I'm just going to do this encounter conference. Then it became, well, I'm just do it one more year. And this is going to be another year. Next year you have to go 4th annual, 5th annual, like, and all 6th annual, 7th
It's
annual.
just growing.
How did we get here?
And it's bigger
and
each year.
Every year it's bigger and bigger, and I'm meeting more people. And it's been this year, even with Bishop Ed, it's been such divine connections, because even having people like yourself, you're giving encouragement to others, and as you're sharing your story, your anointing is flowing. They're saying, I want to do that too. You're giving hope to others, and that's what we've been hoping to really accomplish, is to build up women all over, to let them know God loves them, He's with them, and that He has a plan for them, and He's going to help to see you through that entire plan.
So I would love to do whatever I can to support what you're doing.
Oh, you're doing
I mean, it sounds like a wonderful ministry, a wonderful way to help people realize their purpose and why God created them.
Yes.
Aren't we always wanting to be in that sweet spot?
Yes.
You know, what did He make me for? Why am I here?
Absolutely.
And then to live in it and to bring it forward. I think that's just the best thing in life.
Well, we're going to have you back, and we've been talking about collaborating so many different things. You have your conferences coming up and all the different things. I don't know how Bishop does it. He's just so OG for me, like original, just founder out there. I just love watching how God does it, because you guys have actually motivated and encouraged me. So the generations that have gone before is really who we're pulling from, and the ones who are looking now, they're looking to all of you. So I want to say thank you, and I appreciate you and Bishop Ed, and we're going to definitely collaborate on something and make something great, because you have encouraged me today.
Oh, great. I love that.
I want to appreciate you very much for coming on, and we love that you are here today, and we want to say congratulations on everything that you've been able to accomplish thus far, and that God will continue to bless you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
So all you who are watching, you heard it here on God's Daughters, how much God loves you, and He has a plan for you, and no matter what you're going through, that He had purpose in you on His mind, and you have God inside of you. So everything you touch, we just speak that there will be increase, and that your hands shall prosper, and that God will give you ideas, He will direct your path, and that you will know that God is with you through it all. Thank you, Bishop. We appreciate you guys. Come back soon. Thank you very much. Remember that your timeline is somebody else's lifeline. Prophetess TNT.